So, what other examples can we choose? Let me erase this.
When I was in school, there was always this question of who is the best teacher? Who do you think? And there was always a sort of battle because people interpreted it as favorite teacher. So, who is the best teacher?
Okay.
How would we find out?
So, who is the best teacher? And interestingly, what you are saying is that this is not the same as the most popular teacher.
So I guess the way this question is different from the fastest route question is that fastest route, we all knew the meaning of
What
the
it
word
means,
fastest. Here, best, there's some ambiguity. So the first thing we need to do here is clarify what we mean by best.
Right. So, the first question is, what is, let's say, what is excellent teaching? If you do not know this, we cannot answer that question. So you can say the best teacher is one who engages in the best teaching, but then we have to say what is best teaching. Here is the way of proceeding. We have to ask, what is teaching?
Okay, so teaching is getting students to learn something. Facilitating learning in students.
That's right. So, can I say helping someone to learn something?
So what is learning something then?
Yes, but you will agree, before I address that question, what does that mean? We could say that if you help somebody learn something that is of value, high value, and if you do that in the most effective way and the most efficient way, then that is excellent teaching. Right? So here, learning that is valuable, because if I teach you, for example, how to jump up and down, why should anybody bother about that? But if I teach you critical thinking,
if you're going to high jumping, then
oh, that is true. Yes, I forgot that. Since I'm not a high jumper, I don't think about that possibility. If I teach you critical thinking, most people will agree that it's of high value, right? But if I teach you how to, if I teach you lots of telephone numbers,
just remember those.
If I teach you how to enhance your memory, that is important. Okay, and valuable learning, and also effective and efficient. So we get some handle on excellence in teaching. Excellent teaching.
So by effective you mean that the teacher is able to pass on the learning well, and by efficient you mean that the teacher is able to do it
very little,
with the minimal amount of it.
Minimal amount of,
in various ways.
That's
so
right.
valuable applies to that which is learned.
Yes.
And effective and efficient is what the teacher does
In
for that
order
learning to happen.
Yes, what the teacher does, but also how much time and energy the students have to put in to learn that.
Ah, okay.
So it makes it easy. If the same thing takes 100 hours as opposed to 200 hours, you would expect that 100 hours is better, all else being equal. That's what we mean by efficient. And also, if something stays for 20 years as opposed to is forgotten, let's say a year from the learning, that's not very effective. Now the question that you asked is, what is learning? That's a somewhat difficult question. Should we answer that question, or should we assume that we all know what it means?
Maybe come to that.
Because that will take us to questions like, do bacteria learn, can machines learn, and so on. That becomes somewhat difficult philosophical question. So we'll assume that people know what this means. Treat this as a primitive without defining it. Then the next question will be, if we accept this as best teaching, a best teacher is one who promotes the best form of learning, then we have to ask, what are the indicators? On what basis can you conclude that somebody is the best teacher or not? Right? So for example, can you conclude that when a person gets high student feedback scores, is that the best teacher or is that the most popular?
That's the most popular.
Yeah.
But not necessarily the best. There might be some correlation between
Yeah.
that and best, but
That is not sufficient.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we will not pursue that question in greater detail. This is just to give a rough idea of what we mean by inquiry. So, should we take some more questions of this type?
Yeah, let's do that. Tara?
Okay, we all take antibiotics, right? I've heard someone say that it's morally wrong to take antibiotics.
That's an interesting
What
question.
is it morally wrong?
Okay, so
And
let
why
me
is
write that
it
down.
wrong?
Most people will be shocked to hear that question. Because why should we? Everybody does that, right? But let me write that question. Is it morally wrong to take antibiotics?
My question actually is, there is that question, but how do we find out? How do we find out if it is morally wrong?
Yes. But before that, I think it might be useful to say why this is an important question. Right? I mean, most people would say, what is the connection between taking antibiotics and morally wrong? So let me sketch a way of bringing in morality into taking antibiotics. So I think all of us would agree that it is morally wrong to destroy life. Right? So if I take a gun and shoot half a dozen people, everybody will agree it's morally wrong. Or if I take a gun and shoot 100 cows or 100 dogs, that's definitely morally wrong. Now, so this is a moral principle that most of us subscribe to. We also know that antibiotics destroy bacteria. And we also know that bacteria have life.
So, so antibiotics destroy life.
Yes.
So that means it's morally wrong to take antibiotics.
Antibiotics, right? So therefore, is it wrong? If you accept this and if you accept this, the answer is yes, it is morally wrong.
Yeah, but I don't want it to be morally wrong.
What do you mean you don't want it to be morally wrong?
You want to be able to take antibiotics if you need to.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with
My-
morality,
my-
that is practical consideration.
My intuition says that it's not morally wrong.
Okay, we are not asking the question whether it is practically useful
Yeah.
to take antibiotics. It may be useful, but morally wrong. So your intuition says, your sense of morality says that is not necessarily morally wrong.
Yeah, not necessarily morally wrong.
Okay. So you say you don't want to accept this.
Yeah.
But rationality says if you accept this and if you accept this,
Yeah.
you have to accept this.
I agree, and I can't reject this.
You cannot reject this.
Yeah.
Okay. What can you reject?
So I can amend this.
Okay. You cannot completely reject it.
No, because I don't. There are some things in
Yeah.
it which I agree with.
Yes.
So what do you mean by life there? Is it
Okay,
bacteria?
that's so you're asking the question, what is life?
No, what is a living thing? What's a, yeah.
Well, instead of answering the question, what is life, why don't we just say, we all agree that bacteria have life.
Okay.
We all agree that mosquitoes have life. We all agree that chimpanzees have life, humans have life.
So is it morally wrong to destroy, to kill a mosquito?
Hold on, that's an important question, but we have to we have to modify this
So let's-
principle first with respect to bacteria.
Okay, let's say it's morally wrong to destroy multicellular life.
Okay, fine. Multicellular life. So we have modified this, and one important consequence of modifying this is to say
That now killing bacteria is nothing, is neither morally wrong.
it is neutral,
Neutral, yeah.
because it doesn't follow that since bacteria are monocellular,
Yeah.
this says nothing.
But I see problems with this also. The Otara
Mosquito.
Rather
brother.
just raise mosquitoes.
Mosquitoes.
Mosquitoes are multicellular. So you will
And-
say, okay, suppose you do this. Suppose you are sitting and reading something and a mosquito comes and bites you and you do this. You kill the mosquito.
Yeah.
Did you do something morally wrong?
I would say no, but
Again, let's separate the practical.
yeah, my intuition says no.
Okay.
But over here, by this principle,
Hmm.
and we know that mosquitoes are living, then it has to be wrong, right?
Right, because given this principle,
Yeah.
the answer is yes, it is morally wrong.
Yeah.
But you don't want to accept it, so that means
This has to be amended
you
once
have
again.
to change that. So,
So I think let's leave it for now. I think I want to think about it for a while.
supposing
Okay.
you said human life,
Oh, okay.
then you escape the
Then
mosquito
I escape
problem.
mosquito,
No,
but
then would you kill let's say a cat?
yeah, or
Is
my
that morally
pet
wrong?
dog.
Yes.
Is that morally right?
I think we all would agree that this is wrong.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So why is it that killing a mosquito is okay, but killing a cat or a dog,
How about a rabbit?
I think everybody would agree killing a rabbit randomly is bad,
Yeah.
with no reason.
Yeah.
So this is a murky question.
This is
We
yeah.
cannot address this in 5 minutes.
Yeah. So let's spend some time.
Maybe we'll
about it.
devote-
We'll come back to it at some.
Devote a lot of time to it later in
Yeah.
some other context. Okay. So this should be sufficient to indicate that there are questions of this kind we need to address.
Yeah.
Are there other examples that we need to?
I think for now this is sufficient.
Yeah.
Maybe
Maybe we
we
can
can
list a few questions,
Yeah.
right?
Other types of questions.
We are not going to address those questions, but we will simply give
Yeah.
our viewers a flavor of the kinds of things that we might discuss.
Can I suggest one?
Yeah, sure.
How do you find out if homeopathic medicines can actually cure diseases?
That's a good question, and similar to the first question that we did on astrology. We're trying to
Astrology.
figure out the veracity of some sort of
So, so let me write that question. Homeopathic
Medicines capable of. Is that how you
Medicines.
want to put it?
or why don't I say
Can.
can homeopathic medicines
Cure illness.
illnesses? Yeah, some other question. Let's make a list of interesting questions.
You talked about bacteria and killing bacteria.
Uh-huh.
Do bacteria have consciousness?
Very interesting question. Yeah. Do bacteria have consciousness? Now, before addressing this question, we'd be hopelessly lost if we directly address this question. We have to, in order to address this question, we need to ask, what is consciousness?
So this is similar to asking what is a good teacher.
That's right.
And is that the same as asking, say, what is democracy? Because I've heard
Right.
different definitions of democracy. And
So you have to ask the question, what is democracy? And you might get different answers. So you can say, answer 1, answer 2, answer 3,
how do you choose between them?
yes. That's a very important inquiry question. We are not going to address it now, but these are all extremely important. Are there other
I
questions?
have a question that's bugging me.
Uh-huh.
In this, is there a way of finding out if, so for example, find out if God exists or soul
Okay.
exists,
This must be something that everybody wants to find out.
heaven and hell?
Yes. Does
In-
God or soul, heaven,
Hell.
And hell.
How about rebirth?
rebirth? Yes,
I think these are all tied together somehow.
that's right. How do you find out? How do you investigate questions of this kind? Yes, the kind of inquiry that we are going to pursue, that we are going to practice in this course, will help you investigate these questions as well, but not immediately.
And some of this is very similar to this step. So, because what is consciousness, what
Yes.
is democracy? In order to answer this, you have to answer what is God,
What is
is
God?
soul,
Right.
what is heaven,
So
what
you have to say, what do we mean by?
yeah. Similarly,
Yeah.
for what is soul, what is heaven, what is hell, what is rebirth.
All of those. You have to
and so
define
on.
very carefully
Yeah.
before we investigate.
Yeah. So this brings it to the integration part of
That's right.
things, because the types of questions, even though these are different domains,
Yes.
so you could even ask the question, what is a straight line? And
Right.
that would be you would be following the same techniques in order to answer
That's
that.
right. So when we say what is X, whatever that is, that cuts across disciplinary boundaries.
Yeah.
This is a transdisciplinary question. And in response to the question, what is X, we say, what's the definition? These are transdisciplinary aspects. So once we understand these, we will be able to answer these questions in a better way.
Okay.
That should be a reasonable introduction to.
what this course is going to be about.
Okay, I don't think I can take very much more. for
Yeah,
now.
that this should be sufficient. We'll come back to all this in the next unit.